Welcome to the Wisdom Podcast. Where there. Okay. Okay, so let's start with I want to go back to the last episode where and I'll just to give you the quote again. And it's the creation process where the originating capacity of the conscious mind, right? It's a thought, everything that we do, that starts a process. But if you think about it consistently enough and over a period of time, could be short, could be longer, depends on the energy behind it, emotion. It impregnates the subconscious capacity of the subconscious mind, or the subjective capacity of the subconscious mind. And then it manifests the form through the form into form. And if you look, as we said, this is a bit of a review. As we look at everything, it had to come from here, from consciousness. It had to be an idea that had some emotion attached to it, or nobody would do it. A chair, I don't care about a chair. Oh, but I can make this beautiful chair. It's going to look like this and that and the other thing. I was this, you know, here's I just pulled this out. I had a clock here and it died on me just today. So I put this up. See that? It's the International Organization for Entrepreneurs, which I did that years ago, and it just happened to be there. And I had this idea, and I put this idea, and I called some people. And said, yeah, let's do it. They got excited, so I put it all together and everything. But everybody wanted me to do something or do it all actually. So that didn't go well. But the idea, just from a thought, we created it, and that's kind of when just the emails and so on we're just starting to come in. Anyway, I look at different things I've created. I've had kitchen businesses, which quite well, but I had an idea what it's going to look like. This is the kind of kitchen I'm going to sell. It's going to be this, and the design's going to be great. The showroom looked fabulous, and I had to import kitchens from Pennsylvania because kitchens up here were pretty crappy. Anyway, so and that went up, but it had to be here first, and I could see it, just like the magazine I mentioned before. I could see it, what it's going to look like, how great it was, and then from that, so through the form into form. That's how it all happens. So anyway, um, but tonight's quote, it's kind of attached or follows along with that, or it says it in a different way, as many different quotes do. And tonight's quote is, I got to read it right here. I got it on page 25. The future is not something we enter. The future is something we create. And if anybody cares, it's Leonard Sweet who wrote that. So we're not just going into the future, because every moment that happens is a new future. We're creating it. Wow, we create it. The originating capacity of the conscious mind impregnates, et cetera, through the form. That's how we're creating it. So when you look at and that's why in the back, I think in the back cover of the book, I mentioned that you need to read these over and over again over a period of time, because every time you read them, it changes. The words haven't changed, the understanding has. Then when you start understanding, well, gee, that's interesting. So we'll take, so again, pay attention to your thoughts. They are connected to your belief systems. And if you become conscious, more aware, you're going to all of a sudden realize that your thoughts are just negative all the time, and they come into your head. It's like a record that skips, and you hear the same thoughts over and over. You hear them in your head over and over and over again. So, and why do people? You take people different lifestyles, different cultures, different cities. You got the country people, and they all have slightly different beliefs. Why don't they all have the same beliefs? Even in a thin margin of beliefs, why are the beliefs so extreme? And why do you have one people on one side that, hey, we're right, and the opposite is equally true? Hey, we're right. Well, you both can't be right. So, what is the belief system that's following this group, or the belief system that's following this group? It could be, oh, you owe me. The government owes me. I've been more paying taxes for 10 years and they owe me, and I'm not getting enough on welfare or pensions, whatever the case may be. They really believe that, and they're very emotional. That's the energy that goes behind it. And the other side says, well, wait a minute, I'm working hard to get all the things I do. I'm putting my pension money together, I'm saving money, and so on. Yeah, I drive a nice car and I drive a nice house, or own a nice house, because I work for it. So if you want something better, you got to work for it. No, God knows me. No, it all gets down to what you believe. So people believe that there's spacemen. I'm not saying there is. I'm not saying there isn't. I don't know. Now I have a particular belief about that, but it's a very small one. But and some people believe that Sasquatch is out there walking around. Maybe he is, or she, or maybe she isn't. I don't know. They show pictures and so on. And then what I'm finding today is that everybody's pumping your belief systems up on social media and so on. You hit you in and he's following this one guy. Yeah, he's right. He's right. He's right. It's like, here, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I don't know. I've got my own beliefs. And I've studied this a lot. So I at least I'm on the opinion that have a little better knowledge of this than the average person. So, and again, this is just a discussion. It's to make you think about what is. And maybe that does work a little bit. I know it does because I've done it. Unfortunately, the saboteurs, the negative thoughts have also, had impact on that as well. So let's see, I made some notes here. So so we get repetitive results. That's when you know you're running a pattern. And your pattern is directly created by your belief system. And there's evidence of this. So maybe it's you or somebody that you know that's just accident prone. How does that happen? What's the thought behind the action? And everything in life, it's always a thought behind the action. Remember that. Somebody says something to you, a comment of some kind. What's the thought behind the action? That's the truth. Anyway, so they're accident prone. I've known people who've gotten like 3 and 4 car accidents in a year. Why? Just because they're bad drivers? The rest of the time they don't get into accidents. It's not always the other guy's fault. Then you have people there's people in bad relationships where they go in relationship after relationship after relationship. They fall in love, and all of a sudden, the other person doesn't want to be there anymore. Pardon me. Sorry. So then they get into the next one, and all of a sudden, the next one is just like the last one, but dressed much better. And so they get involved in that relationship, and the same thing happens. They walk away, they do whatever, and the other one's gone. And then there's the abusive relationships where, yeah, I mean, physical abuse or emotional abuse, where if you don't mind, I'll just use women as an example here because it works both ways. Where they get in a relationship and it becomes violent. And then there's the apology. Oh, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. And then this keeps on. So what happens is they're making them become dependent. Then finally, when they get away, they might even go into a shelter for a while, go into a different address, some other town, just to, oh, okay, I'm much better now. Oh, yeah. Then all of a sudden, you might be going to a dance, and maybe there's a bar there, and all of a sudden you look up like this, eyes lock on. Oh my! And they pick up the energy of another guy, just like that. Next thing you know, we walk over and they meet and have oh, that's great. It's lovely. Then they get together, and they move in together, and guess what happens? Battered abuse syndrome, battered women abuse syndrome, I believe it's called. Anyway, how is that even possible? How is that person can walk across the hall or look across the room and pick somebody that's just like the last one? Again, just a little bit better dressed. That's the belief system about yourself. And that energy behind that belief system creates that situation. It's like energy goes out and connects. So then you have bad relation, repetitive results. So if you find out, or if you figure out that things in your life keep repeating themselves, up and down and up and down and up and down. Or I'm sick and then I'm healthy. I'm sick and then I'm healthy. I'm sick in my health. You got to take a look at that because that's not the physical body. It's the physical body manifesting the thoughts that you have. So, is that even possible? Well, let me tell you a couple of true stories. They're very short. There's a study that was done. You've all heard about the placebo effect. Well, what's a placebo effect? That's something when somebody believes something is going to happen and it does. So they did a study, and it happened to be knee surgeries. So they had these people, these doctors, and they didn't tell anybody. And one person that they did, they put 2 little cuts in there and stitched it up. Now he's under; they had to put him under because of the pain. That's all they did, and the knee had been sore for the longest time. And others, they did the actual surgery. Here's the interesting point: When the guy woke up, and what they did is they played a video of the surgery, right? So he was awake through the whole thing. And in this video of the surgery, they're all doing this and doing that, but it was a video. It wasn't live. He thought it was his own knee. And they stitched him and said, all right, that should be fine now. You shouldn't have any problems. Well, the guy got up, he goes back to see the doctor next day. He says, that's amazing. I haven't had a problem ever since that surgery was amazing. You guys are great doctors. And he never had a problem. 10 years, as if it never happened. They didn't do anything. Before that, he had constant pain. It's a belief system. And something that, with the way they said it, or the emotion that I wanted this knee fixed, whatever it was, it happened. And this is just on record. Back in the Second World War, when they stormed the beaches, a lot of our allies here were getting shot and wounded. So the medics were running around like crazy, and they ran out of morphine. And they went to the general, the captain said, what do we do? He says, give them distilled water, tell them it's morphine. So they went and they give them needles. This is morphine, and the pain subsided. And some still hurt, but the pain had really subsided. It's distilled water, not morphine. Again, it's a belief system. And what do hypnotists do? They can tell you that we're going to hypnotize you and okay, go to sleep, eyes closed like this. And he gives him a command. All right, you cluck like a chicken. And the guy's up on stage in front of hundreds of people clucking like a chicken. And then he brings him out of it. He can't remember what he did. The hypnotist was able to get right to the subconscious mind and drop that in instantly. And all of a sudden the guy's believing he's a chicken or Elvis Presley or wherever he wants somebody to believe. So it's not, and some say, well, the person wants to believe that anyway, but other people say no. I can't see anybody going on the stage and clucking like a chicken because he was hypnotized. Just because he wanted to do it doesn't count. And then there's more. Give me a couple of studies here. Back, maybe I mentioned this last time, I can't recall, but back in the 70s, I had a company. I was teaching sales professionals, and the story came up because I want to get them to believe that they can. And the story was a fella in university, I think it was UCLA, and he went through a physical because he was in sports, and the doctor pointed out in the X-ray, he says, "Hey, you've got this little spot here, but it's nothing to worry about. Just leave it alone. Everything's fine." So the guy had that X-ray, and he kept it. Now he's a lawyer, which is what he was studying to be. And he goes in, he says, well, for insurance purposes, we have to take an X-ray. You get a medical. I said, no problem. I'm healthy. So they took an X-ray, and the same spot in the same place showed up on the X-ray. And the doctor said to him, it's cancer. You have lung cancer, and there's nothing we can do. 3 weeks later, the fellow was dead. Not because he had cancer, because he believed so deeply that he had cancer, because an authority figure told him that, he died. I've had all kinds of other, I mean, even in the Qigong practice, we've had cancer patients go to the doctor and give them, talked about this lady before, 6 weeks to 6 months to live, 24 years later. And 6 months after that, she was, what do they call it? Evidence of disease. No evidence of disease is what she was trying. They couldn't find it. Yet she had 6 weeks to 6 months to live. What do you think would have happened if she had to believe that? With fear and all the things that go with it and believe it. And every day she's talking about dying and that she's got this issue. She would have been dead. That's why I think, personal thing, doctors have a responsibility not to lie, but not to go overboard and say this is going to happen. In Japan, you're not allowed to do that. You can't tell them. If they got cancer, you can't tell them. It's kind of like a medical law. They say, oh, everything's fine. I don't know if that's right or wrong either. But there's so many examples of this outside of just health and healing, and outside of business success and money and manifestation of anything that you want. But it's the same thing. So if the placebo effect can work when somebody believes that this is done, then why is it that we can't turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to picture this originating capacity. Okay, this is our future that we're going to create. I want this. And what, by the way, what's stopping you from becoming a millionaire right now or in the next couple of years? winning a lottery. Maybe you don't just want to. Maybe you don't believe you can. I mean, I'm having more fun now. It's 71, almost 72, in all these different business ideas I'm doing and writing books and so on. And that has been proven in general to keep people healthy. When people retire at 65, and then this is a world of comfort, and with the concept, I've earned this, and they watch TV a lot of time, you know, golf, they don't get much exercise, sit around, eat too much, and so on. They don't live that long. And apparently, back in '85, there was a statistic. I don't know if it's still there, but the statistic was that, let me see, I want to get this straight now. Okay, it'll come back to me. But another statistic that the Canadian government did, it's called the Heart and Stroke Foundation. They said that the average, and this is published, this is actual an ad, a 1 minute ad, which is brilliant. I show it every now and again. But the average Canadian will spend the last 10 years of their life in sickness and disease. And what are they doing about it? Nothing. More drugs, more this, more that, more surgeries, whatever the case may be. And it's funny. I was telling somebody today. We'll segue here. They keep calling me. Oh, it's time to service your car. That's 115,000 kilometers out, I think, and it's got to come in. And I know it's going to happen because they do this to me every time. They're looking for work. They need to work, keep the employees going, so they're going to find something. So you go in and say, well, you know, you need a new brake job. My brakes are fine. Yeah, well, they're getting thin. You should place them now at $1,000. And then, oh, you need this oil change. I just had it changed 3 months ago, et cetera, et cetera. And my light hasn't come on to show that I need to change it. So what's the whole deal here? Well, maybe we can make some money. We do some things. I'm tired of that. And doctors do pretty much the same thing. And they say, okay, you got this. You need to go see that specialist. And that specialist says you need to go see this specialist. And then you need to see the surgeon. Then you need to see the oncologist. Then you need to see all these different places. Who's paying for that? If you don't have insurance, you're in a bit of a pickle. Here, well, it's social medicine up here, so we don't have to pay. But somebody's got to pay. We pay anyway. We're paying it through taxes. But the point of all that is that people, if you believe that you need this, oh my God, brakes. Oh, maybe I could die. That if you believe that kind of stuff without using your consciousness, which means your awareness, then you can get stuck. So, what else? Other notes that I have here. Yeah, did the studies on placebo effect. I mean, they found out that the placebo effect is one of the worst enemy of pharmaceutical companies because they have to do compare a placebo sugar pill with the drug that they have, and oftentimes the placebo performs better than the drug. Go figure. And that's all of a sudden, if that's the case, then they can't produce a drug anymore. Okay, yeah, the future is not something we will enter; it's something we create. Did that. Things don't know. This is another quote. I think I wrote it. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Things don't just happen, but they do happen just. In other words, so, and again, if I asked you, well, what do you think that means to you? And we're going to have different things and so on. And I would say you're wrong. But things things don't just happen because everything that we have, we've created. Everything in our life that comes to us is a creation of our own mind, our own subconscious mind, and our conscious mind repeating the program over and over again because we can hear our thoughts if we listen. But it does happen just. So if you're thinking about, as an example, constantly thinking about disease and death and this and that and everything, and something dies over here, well, it happened just because that's exactly what you asked for, and it just happened. And that's how manifestation works. That's how the subconscious mind works. I was listening to a speaker the other day, and he says, "All we are is consciousness. It's experiencing ourselves. So it's not just this. It's not just while we think and we do this and then go to work. It's not just that. It's the whole consciousness and how we express within what we call life. on this planet, the schoolhouse Earth. For everything is a lesson, and the only lesson you get is the one you need. That's by Bob Vanderwall. That's also in the book. And when you think about that, geez, so why do I need this lesson? So you learn. How else? You've learned nothing new until you have a new learned result. That's also in the book. It's also Bob Vanderwall. See, these all fit together. So I can learn all kinds of stuff, which I'm doing right now. And if I take all this information I'm studying, that I'm learning, and it's fascinating me, and the quotes and go deep dive, all it is information until I have an experience. If I have an experience of that happening or not happening, then I've learned something. If I haven't got the experience, I haven't learned anything, or you or anybody else, because all it is knowledge that's useless until it's used. You might say, "Huh, interesting about the moon and how it goes around." Well, yeah, but that's just stuff in your head. There's no proof on that. You can't even do it yourself. But anything that you have, you learn nothing new till you have a new learned result. People go to university today and they come out and they graduate, can't get a job doing what they took in university. What was the point? They may drive a cab and do whatever. But even if they did, an engineer comes out and he's did all the blueprints and stuff and all the tests and all the things and equations and physics that they had to learn to do this. Still just knowledge. They haven't learned it. When they take that knowledge and they put it and they build something from what they learned, then they learn something new. Make sense? Uh, oh, this is interesting. You're fighting feelings that commands you without permission. You're fighting feelings that commands you without your permission. In other words, you get this, oh, you should do this, you should do that, or go here, or go there, and all this stuff, and you obey. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, better not. Same thing with it's like an addiction. So your beliefs are so strong, you're addicted to them. You're addicted to your story, as we've mentioned before. So all of a sudden, you get a command. Uh, Listen, don't go to that meeting. Don't go see those people. There's something wrong with those people. You know that, and it's just going to be trouble. This is your subconscious talking to you. It's in thoughts, and then you decide, no, I'm not going to go over there. It's just a picnic in the backyard. I don't know them that well, and you'll come up with the excuse. Your subconscious mind talked you out of it. Fear and guilt are fear and guilt are commands that program every decision. So you have procrastination. That's a saboteur. That's called the avoider. So anything in procrastination, particularly the things that you know on one level that they would be very good for you, and then the subconscious mind says and talks you out of it every single time. And I'm not saying what the thoughts are, but you have these kind of thoughts. If you just listen, you're going to see. Now, my suggestion is, or my thought is, you're going to start hearing these things. You're going to start listening. And as soon as you go to do something and hear the thought not to do it, geez, that's the judge or whatever saboteur it is. You'll just notice it's something inside. Where did that thought come from? Why is he telling me not to do that or to do that? That's the other side of the coin. I'm going to go down the street. No, don't go down there. Just take this street. You find out you took that street and there's this big accident down the other street you were going to take. That's another thought that comes in because there's yin and yang, right? There's positive and negative of both. You feel, you feel, act without thinking, and choosing to obey without questioning. This is how the subconscious works. I say, no, I don't do that. Well, you have to pay attention. So take a look or listen to the thoughts that you have and see how you change. Because you don't want to do it or you don't want to go. The subconscious mind is telling you, don't do that. Don't talk to that person. Something wrong with that guy. Something wrong with him. Shouldn't be listening to that. Shouldn't be doing that. That's the programming that comes in. And as mentioned, to truly learn, one must experience. So, and again, you have learned nothing new until you have new learned result. Now, I've had this. This is a particular poem by Val Vanderwall. It was written back in the 80s. Originally, it's fascinating because I've read it many times, but not lately. So now I'm reading it with different eyes, and those eyes keep changing from time to time. But I never thought of this, how it applies to what we've been talking about manifestation, subconscious mind. Why can't we do this? Why can't we be anything we need, want, or desire? Well, we can. The only limitation we put on, the limitations we have, is the one that we put on ourselves. But this is this. I've kind of analyzed it's short, but some of the stanzas. Here it is. It's called the true gifts of life. He wrote it as the true gifts of Christmas. And then he changed it after some thought. The first gift I give you is love, the beginning, the end, and the whole meaning of a life. Now you take a look at love is an energy, right? And that energy is perfect because what do we talk about? We want love. We want to feel love. We are love. This is what's inside us. We're made that way. We just don't realize it at that level. I give you self-reliance, the sure knowledge that in all you think and do, a universal intelligence is seated at your heart, working through your hands and predominantly in all your being. What's universal intelligence? Well, again, to go back to an episode or two, Christ said, God and I am one. He wasn't just talking about himself. He was talking about everybody because he also said, he says, when it came to miracles, these things and greater you shall do. So, the whole not this the universal intelligence, that's the quantum field. That's God. That's all these things, regardless of what label you put on them, is already seated at your heart. Guess where? It's behind, if you want to know, the source is behind the heart and in front of the spine, that little space back there. And working through your hands and predominantly in all your being. So whatever you do is work, whether it's physical work, hands-on work, anything. It's mostly involves the hands. I give you peace, the ability to be still within and know that all is well, no matter what outside appearances may be. The outside appearances is just noise, complete noise. I give you beauty and worthiness to live a life that's a balanced expression of truth. Well, it's okay to read that, but what's the truth? And where do you find that answer? Truth is, you are a spark. You are consciousness, having an experience. And the conscious you have is the source. And you can call it the God spark, the source. You can call it God within, all these different things. Maybe you believe it, maybe you don't. But even if you don't, it's worth exploring. It's a fascinating thing. I give you beauty and worthiness to live a balanced expression of truth. I give you health, the outward expression of right thinking. This one's interesting. If you would perfect your body, guard your mind. In other words, I'm healthy, I'm good, everything's getting great. I'm going to guard my mind from all kind of that negative crap coming into changing my belief system. If you would renew your body and say you're not healthy, beautify your mind. Isn't that fascinating? So if you start thinking positive, beautify your mind, thinking positively, thinking about love, peace, gratitude, joy. You don't get angry at people. You don't start calling people names. You don't tell stories about people. It's always you have compassion for people. Those kind of things change, beautify your mind. All of a sudden, your health is going to get better. That's just known. I give you happiness, the ability to love yourself. There's a big one, which you could extend to others, to love your work and to give your best to all three always. The ability to love yourself. You know how uncommon that is? Do you love yourself? Really? If you loved yourself, then why sometimes you don't think, well, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of this. If you want to find out, it's easy to find out what people think they're worthy of. They used to do this when I was hiring salespeople. So in a sales group, they're coming in for sales meeting to see what it's like. So I say, everybody, put up your hands now. This is in sales and you're on commission. I want to know if you can make $10,000 a year in selling on commission. If you can't, put up your hand. Everybody puts your hand up. Okay. How about $20,000 a year? That's maybe one hand comes down, but the rest are still up. Then you increase the number. How about $50,000 a year? Most of the hands come down. That's a lot of money back in 85. Yes. And then you turn around and say, okay, how about 100,000? Oh, you may have one or two people up there. And then you have one guy, you can go to 100 million. And he just keeps his hand out there with no belief in it. It's just because it's fun to do. That's how you tell what you're worth. So if you think you're worth, I'm talking old numbers here as an example. Let's say you're worth $50,000 because you've had a job for $50,000 and it's no problem. And you would apply for a $50,000 job like that. All of a sudden, the same job, the same work for a bigger company, and you've got all the qualifications, but it's for $150,000. The chance of you applying for that job is slim to none. And even if you did, you'd be gone with you'd quit or leave or create a situation where you're fired. So you go back to where you're comfortable. Now, another sales company, some around that same time, did a test with their regional salespeople, national company. And they went out and had salespeople, they had territories. So one salesperson was top dog, making $150,000 a year. They had another guy, he was making only $40,000 a year. And he said, well, my territory is terrible. I mean, the business is down here. This is a depressed economy, my area where I'm working. The other guy's got a great area. So what did they do? They said, okay, we're going to take you out of your $40,000 territory. We're going to put you in over here in $150,000 territory. They took the 150,000 guy and put him in the $40,000 territory for a year. Guess what happened? The 40,000 went into the good territory, still made $40,000 a year. The good guy that went into so-called poor territory still made around $150,000 a year. The belief of that person at $40,000, there's no way he could make more than that. Doesn't matter what territory you put in, because his belief is set, I can't make more than that. As a matter of fact, in Canada, and it's in the United States, I know this happened in the United States, 80% of the people, I mean, the statistic is, who wins the major lottery, billions, even billions they have down in the US, within 18 to 24 months are more broke than before they won the money. And I see the guy on a news station, this is a few years back, he won like $40 million, lived in Florida. He was on the street before, it was like 21 months, he was on the street, completely broke, because he didn't have the money consciousness. Money's just an energy. Money flows to love and away from fear. So his self-worth was so low that he couldn't deal with it, and he gave it away. And most people do. What do they do? Oh, let's go buy a coat and a car and a boat and a cottage and this and a new house and everything else. And they spend like crazy. And they don't know how to manage it. And they lose it. It's all about worth, self-worth. It's just people that will make $1 million and turn it into $10 million. Because that's the belief about themselves. Anyway. I went on about that stanza, didn't I? I give you substance. I'm going to read the whole thing without interruption in a minute. I give you substance that you will always have what good you need and desire, warm in the understanding that your returns will always be in direct ratio to your service. So that doesn't mean the things that you do with your hand, sure, I'm helping people. This is how you serve. It's through the mind, through thought, through compassion, through love, through peace and joy. All these emotions. Remember, emotion. E equals energy in motion. Powerful. Everything is energy, right? Right there. So when you say it, direct proportion to your service, it's in direct proportion to what you believe and how you're going to focus in the world, what you're going to do to help. That's all consciousness. I give you happiness, the ability to love yourself, which you can extend to others, and to love your work and give your best all three always. Just did that one. I give you time one day at a time. In it, there is no rush. Through positive affirmation, habit, and expectancy, you will always be in the right place at the right time, unhurried, relaxed, and harmonious. Again, breaking this down. Through habit, what's your habit? How do you think? I get a bad habit of thinking negative all the time. Or somebody says, yeah, I don't. I hear a negative thought, man, I put it in my head. I replace it right away with a positive thought. That's your habit. Expectancy. Most people expect bad things to happen to them. Now, I say most people generally, but that's generally what the population is, which means, oh man, I better not take this car on that trip. Probably have an accident. I might blow a tire. Geez, how am I going to get back? It's just this. My credit card shot up. I don't have any money. If I'm going to go, I better not go. And they'll create this situation. Everything that happens to us is a creation of our own mind. Doesn't matter what it is. There's no happenstance. Everything happens for a reason or purpose to serve you. Always be at the right place at the right time. There's times in your life maybe when, and I've mentioned this before as well, because it all locks together, is that when you're thinking about calling someone that you haven't talked to in a long time, it's on your mind, all of a sudden you get a phone call. Hey, how you doing? He just happens to call you. How do you think that happened? You sent the message out, the thought, energy, out into the ether or out into the quantum field. And he picked up on it. It doesn't matter if he's on the other side of the world because they proved this with actually photons, by the way. And all of a sudden he calls you back. How you doing? That ever happened to you? It's happened to me more than once. And when you're unhurried, relaxed, and harmonious, you're at peace. You're not stressed. Stress is a dream killer. I give you freedom. Freedom that through awareness, you will always be and do what you know is best for you, and all concerned without fear and with freedom in soul, in spirit, and body. Again, it comes back to awareness. Through awareness, you will be and do what you know is best for you. Now take your gifts and use them well. You can render God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of your life. It's true. Okay. I'll just go through it in a flow so I don't accept. The true gifts of life. The first gift I give you is love, beginning, the end, and the whole meaning of a life. I give you self-reliance, the sure knowledge that in all you think and do, a universal intelligence is seated at your heart, working through your hands and predominantly in all your being. I give you peace, the ability to be still within and know that all is well, no matter what outside appearances may be. I give you beauty and worthiness, to live a life as a balanced expression of truth. I give you health, the outward expression of right thinking. If you would perfect your body, guard your mind. If you would renew your body, beautify your mind. I give you substance, that you will always have what goods you need and desire warm, and the understanding that your returns will always be in direct ratio to your service. I give you happiness, the ability to love yourself, which you can extend to others, to love your work, and to give your best to all three, always. I give you time, one day at a time. In it, there is no rush. Through positive affirmation, habit, and in expectancy, you will always be at the right place at the right time, unhurried, relaxed, and harmonious. I give you freedom. Freedom that through awareness you will be and do what you know is best for you and all concerned, without fear, and with freedom in soul, in spirit, and body. I give you faith that you will stand firm and believe in the unlimited spirit within your own heart, and be still and know that only love is true. Take your gifts, for they are free, and use them well, for you can render God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of your life. And it's by Leland Val Vanderwall. I hope you got something out of this. So I'm going to close off and by saying, Have I told you how much I love you today? Always peace, love, gratitude, and joy. Forgive, forget, and let go. And tell somebody you love them. It makes such a difference because love is such an energy. You can actually watch them change or go, yeah, I know. You don't even have to speak it. You just have to think it and direct it towards them in intention. All right, everybody. Well, I always enjoy. I'm really enjoying this. So thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you at the next one. I don't know what the topic's going to be. It'll show itself sometime between now and then. So have a great time. Enjoy your life. Be positive. Be aware of your thoughts. And if you have a negative thought, replace it with a positive one. Take care, everybody. Best of all. Thank you. And good night.